Hi guys! Welcome to episode number 6 of 𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒈. I hope everybody's having a great week. And thank you just for all the attention and the support that you guys give and the stories that you guys send. Please send more. All the info is in the description. And yeah, if you want to subscribe, go ahead and subscribe. And if not, of course, I understand and I appreciate that you're even here. All right. So I feel like these stories are a little bit heavy on the soul. That's all I'm saying. And but the good thing is that they teaches us, I think like they teach us unity in their own specific way. Okay. Um, the episode of number 6 is titled Loving Your Neighbor. I feel like this is something that God has been telling me. It's been putting on my heart for like the past 2 weeks. To remind me that the most important thing of it all is love, you know? You can have money, you can have riches, you can have knowledge, you can have wisdom, you can have absolutely everything, well, almost everything. But if you don't have love, you got nothing. And yeah. And also like it's not just like love for like things or anything. It's just for like your neighbor, you know, for the people that for your friends, for people that have done you wrong even. Yes. All right. So today's title, Loving Your Neighbor. And I want to start with a verse from the Bible on Matthew chapter 22, verse 39. And it says, "You shall love your neighbor as yourself." Something that we forget a lot of times because we just want to be like, oh, you're right, oh, you're wrong, oh, this and that. But we forget at the end of the day, we're just the creation of the Creator. And we're supposed to love the Creator over all things. And then the second commandment was to love your neighbor as yourself. And I believe we have forgotten about that. And it's something that the God has been reminding me of lately, as of lately. But yeah, I just wanted to start with that. And please, like, get something that is gonna comfort you because the first and the third story are a little heavy. That's all I'm gonna say. So, story number 1, the people united will never be defeated. And it's anonymous, of course. About 50 years ago, a tragedy happened in a little town where I'm from, in Mexico. The town was even smaller back then than what it is now. And since the location is in the middle of the Mexican Republic, many people will often try to settle there with businesses or looking for employment. Even truck drivers will come and rest there while they were doing their routes. We had a new ice cream guy from the middle of the country, which is known as the DF, Federal District. He was the he was the ice cream. He was the ice cream man from the town and the neighboring towns as well. One day, a little kid of only 4 years old appeared alive in a house that was in construction. While the parents were trying to investigate what had happened and who would have done such a horrible things, some neighbors confessed that they saw the new ice cream man come out of the construction with red stains on his pants, but they didn't think much of it. Maybe yeah, because maybe some liquid of the ice creams fell off on him or whatever, but they did see him come out of there with what appeared to be blood. When the autopsy was done, and sadly, they did confirm that the kid not only had taken his right to live, but also his innocence. He died in agony. Having all of this information, the town decided to go for the ice cream man because he wouldn't come back until a couple more weeks. I mean, a couple more days. One of the neighbors remembered he seen him at one of the neighboring cities at a certain day, so everybody talked and planned in unity to go that day and confront him in that city to corner him in reality. About 10 men left in a pickup truck looking for this ice cream rapist. When they corner him, this cower, in a matter of seconds, just surrendered. He didn't deny nothing. They took him to the police to rot in jail for his acts of cruelty against the little one. He was processed as a rapist by the system, and you all know how it goes for all those type of men inside there. He, the town people, the people of the town, never knew what happened to him, and they also never spoke about the subject again, since it was something that marked all of us in very different ways. It was a tragedy, and we didn't know how to get over it, so we just simply never spoke about it again. The only comfort we have is that the men paid and probably still paying for committing such an atrocity, stealing not only the innocence but also the life of the little one. Rest in peace, of course, the little children, um, the little kid. But when this story was something that I was told by someone that's older. The story wasn't sent to me, but it was told to me. I remember when I was listening the person telling me the story, I was like, they killed him, or like they paid him the same way. I was like they did the same thing that he did, right? Me thinking. But I was so surprised when I realized that they came in unity. And not only that they like in those times, this is like long, long time ago, like 50 years ago. In those times in Mexico, people were savages. Not like really savages, but like um we tend to be very aggressive, I guess. And and usually they will do tooth for tooth, like how people would do however others would do to them. And I was so surprised that the people had the self-control to be like, no, he's gonna go to jail and he's gonna have to pay for what he's done. We're not gonna take revenge on our hands. That for me was like, whoa, it blew my mind. So I was like, I do have to put this story in the podcast. And it was like the unity that the town had, like the people in the town had, for me that was just surprising. And how like mature they acted and into such like atrocity really was crazy. I'm still blow-minded about it. For those that are not from Mexico, probably would not understand as much. But yeah, like the fact that they didn't respond with violence or revenge, the typical ways, that had me very amazed. And it also reminded me to, so it's interesting because on the verse that I opened with, just New Testament. And in the Old Testament, when God gave the commandments on Leviticus 19:18, this is what is said. And I was like, whoa, it's crazy how much detail it is on the Old Testament and how crazy that it goes so well with this. Okay, so it says, do not take revenge or bear a grudge against anyone among your people, but love your neighbor as yourself. In my opinion, it fits perfectly. But yeah, like we forget because we're egocentric. We just want to be right. We just want to win. We just want to be the one with the last word. We just want to be the ones that like, ooh, but I know best or I know more. And it's not a bad. Perfect love takes away all fear. And yeah, I do feel like we need to do more of an effort in loving our neighbors, getting to know people deeper, not to look for a friendship just because of out of what they can give you or relationships, like Think about what you can give, and think about how you can serve others. And of course, it doesn't have to be like people taking advantage of you. No, love your neighbor as yourself, but just as how you have limits too. Also put your limits, because I know a lot of people take advantage of it. But yeah, crazy, crazy, crazy. All right, the next story. It's titled "Listen to Your Parents," and it's also anonymous. When I was a little kid, my parents had multiple houses around the state of Sonora, Mexico. Mexico. One day, we were visiting one of the houses that was more in the deserted area, with more mountains in the surroundings. A lot of people would go in that area to do what people call mountain hikes and those type of things. My dad took us there, but he had businesses to do. And while he was doing that, me and my sister kept coming up with ideas as to how to keep ourselves entertained. As we both agreed to go play at the mountain, and we both agreed to go play at the mountain. To this, our dad, being our dad, just told us, okay, just make sure you guys stay in the lower part of the mountain because there's many snakes around this area and they like to live on the top of the mountain. So please stay on the lower area. We started our way to the mountain. Then we started our way to the mountain. We started our way to the mountain. Then we were playing by the lower area when my sister suddenly got bored. And just like that little devil that appears on the shoulders in a lot of cartoons to tempt people, just said, let's go to the top, sis. To which I answered, to the top? Are you crazy? Didn't you listen to our dad telling us not to go there? There's snakes. You're crazy. She continued insisting for us to go higher, and she came out with a very convincing sentence to a little girl, which was, if there were so many snakes, like he says, wouldn't they also be in the lower area? I think he's just trying to scare us. And me, being me, a very naive girl, then agreed. When we were playing by the top of the mountain for a little while, oh, we were playing by the top of the mountain for a little while when suddenly we started hearing a hissing and the rattle sounds as well. Like, and out of nowhere, the rattlesnake stands up as if she was marking her territory, as if she was telling, don't even get any closer. My sister and I were terrified in that moment. I remembered how one of our neighbors was explaining to us um, that we could tell the age of the rattlesnakes according to how big the rattle is. Well, this one was completely and absolutely huge, which got me even more scared. We instantly started running, but since we were so little, the adrenaline was 1,000% more in our little bodies. So our knees couldn't keep up with the speed we were going, plus the downhill, so we just fell and started rolling down the hill. Our whole bodies got covered by the spines of the cactus that were all over the mountain. We got home and our dad got mad. We didn't listen, so even with the spines, he hit us. We were in even more pain than before. After that, I would just try to ignore my sister when she will come up with her ideas of mischief and try to listen to what our parents will advise us. Our parents often have their knowledge due to personal and other people's experiences. I think, like, the little saying that it says, like, the devil is more devil because of his age than because he's actually the devil. So I think it's the same thing with their parents, like they usually know more just because they're older. They don't need to be more mature. They just know more because they have more experiences. They have more years of life. So most of the times, please just listen to your parents because they were telling you to not do something. It's because they already did a mistake about that. So definitely listen to your parents. I had the story, similar story, but wasn't with cactus. It was in the jungle of cement. We were visiting one of my sister's friends, and he was like, "Oh, I raised you dancers." He was 15, I was 7, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, I raised you dancers. I'll win you, I'll win you." He was like, "How you would?" And I was like, "Yes, I will." Turns out, very badly, I fell from like a whole set of steps, and the steps weren't like they were so small. Like that's why my mom told me like, don't be running down the stairs. But I didn't listen. I didn't listen. So I fell off. I fell off, and I got three little cuts. Well, not little, three cuts on my knees, on my knee, on my right knee. And if you would like look into them, you could see the bone. You could see the bone and you could see the blood. Oh, it's so horrible. So when my mom saw my leg was full of blood, she was like, ah! And then she slapped me. She's only hit me twice in my entire life. But she slapped me, and I remember I was like, what did I do? She was like, you didn't listen. I was like, yeah, you're right, I didn't listen. So definitely, kids, listen to your parents because they know what they're saying things. I know they can be annoying sometimes, but they mean well. Also, this one, I remember I said this on the last episode, but I didn't quote the exact verse. Um, and the exact verse is First Corinthians 15, chapter 15, verse 33. And it says, "Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character." And it's so true. I remember I used to be so against this because I'll be like, no, my good will overcome any evil. And yes, of course, but also just be aware of who you have in your surroundings and on your inner circles, because sooner or later, one has to give in. And sadly, bad company usually are always scheming, and you fell for those things more than anything. But yeah, I also picked this one because the next one is very heavy. So I thought it was gonna be like a little bit of balance in between the two stories that were a little too heavy. Um, yeah, just listen to your parents. Of course, if it's something coherent, if it's something that's not coherent, like the next one, please don't. Also, just saying, you will understand once I go into the depth of the next story. All right, number 3, the love of my neighbors saved me, and it's anonymous. When I was 15, my oldest sister had a boyfriend, which she ended up leaving because she met the love of her life, and they left town together. Her ex was trying to accomplish revenge against my sister. He decided to invite me out one night, and I accepted because I knew him, so I didn't expect nothing weird. That same night, he abused me, taking away any type of dignity that as a woman I could have. I went home feeling broken inside, covered in tears, and told my parents of the awful situation and experience. But they decided to tell him he had to marry me. Since he did such thing, now his duty was to marry me. Yes, my family made me marry my abuser. And he, being the evil person that he was, got even happier knowing that the revenge against my sister will be extended with a second title besides abuser and victim, with the titles of husband and wife. The nightmare continued for many years. One of the ways he will control me, was by not allowing me to take any birth control. So I would keep getting pregnant with less of a chance to leave him, allowing him to control each and every area of our lives. After we had our two oldest kids, my sister, the one that had left my now husband for her now husband, took the process for me to become a resident from the United States. And I did that for my husband as well, my sister's ex. His family were people that had money from TJ, so all of this process was done very fast. During the weekdays, we would live in Tijuana, and on the weekends, we were to live on the States because he had duties with his family's business. With time, we ended up living full time in the States. My neighbors in the States would of course notice all of the yelling and hitting he would do to me. By this time, I ended up having four more kids. His arrogance wouldn't let him think that in the States, domestic abuse is actually something I could fight against and something that would make him lose a lot. I used to take the daily coffee with my elderly neighbors, and one day one of them simply told me, "My child, don't keep on having more children. You're so young. We are getting so drained by so many pregnancies and the life you're having." I explained to her that it wasn't by choice. My husband, every time he will come home, he will be inspecting absolutely everything, that I had no way to hide something from him. She then proceeded with, "When you get a chance, get the pills and leave them here with me. And when you come for your coffee, then you take your daily dose." So I did. And finally, I stopped getting pregnant, only to find out that would only increase his anger against me. And because he wouldn't be able to control me with the pregnancy, he would just get angers, like outbursts of anger even more. The yelling and the beatings got worse. Another day, while we were drinking coffee, another one told me, "You can leave him. You can call the police, you know. Over here, they do pay for this type of behaviors. You're too young. You still have an entire life ahead of you." I told her when he hits me, I had no time to do nothing, and that the beatings will usually last 30 minutes to an hour. But I asked her if she could call for me instead when the beatings will start, and she said yes. I trained one of my oldest to go tell her when the beating will start, giving giving enough time for the police to arrive and be a witness of the abuse, the horrible havoc he had created. The police took him. He lost his resident benefits, so he no longer had a way to control my life. My kids will go to Mexico to visit him. Eventually, they just didn't want to keep the connection with him, and finally started to have some peace. We divorced in Mexico as well as in the United States. I started to work in warehouses and whatever that was accessible for me and for my kids to have a life we could afford. I also have done things which I'm not proud or even dare to mention. But when desperate times come, sometimes you can't think well. So for that, just give me some of your empathy. With time, I was able to buy a house in the in the county of Los Angeles, which wasn't a known territory for me and my kids, but it was worth it because it was the only way for us to actually live in a house. And since we were a family of seven, we needed the space. We moved there. It was such a fresh air for me and my kids. Eventually, I met the love of my life there, but he died since he was older than me. He loved my kids as if they were his and treated me like a princess. When he died, he left me and my kids a lot of money, since he was pretty much rich. I never remarried. I didn't want it to damage the beautiful memories he gave me while in life. My kids and I were always very united. They love me so much and I love them. All of our family members grew up basically together. We are all very close. Whenever one struggles, the other ones help around. I couldn't be any more blessed than I am now. Yes, I had a difficult life, but I lived, my children grew up to be, because of what I lived, my children grew up to be what they are now. The union we have as a family and the financial blessings I end up having, I would never change nothing of it. Sometimes, Life can seem very unfair, but the rewards are always waiting ahead. We just need to have a little faith and courage to confront the bullies that made us victims. Yeah. Moving to this country opened doors for a life I could have never even dreamed of having in the town I am from. And for that, I will always be so grateful. This story still hasn't reached an ending, but it for sure has reached happy seasons, and we've been on them for a little more than 2 decades. Ahead is where the turning point lies. When you are in an abusive relationship, I know that it's gonna sound so ironically, but you only think that that person is the best that you could ever have because that's what they make you believe. And a lot of the times you don't know any better, like she did. So when you have people that tell you like, hey, that's not it, you know, better things lie ahead. It's such a empowerment because it does something to your brain that is like, is there? And then you start to believe, you start to like build some faith, you know, you start to build some courage, you start to become brave, you know, you start planning, you start to try to get away, you know? And it's very, I can even imagine if those neighbors never advised her to leave, to change her life, that she had so much more ahead, that she was so young, that that's not the life that she deserved, you know? If they would have never said that, I'm sure this guy would have killed her, especially if she hadn't got pregnant anymore. But yeah, like it's just so pretty how from a life of so much misery and suffering and despair, because I can't even imagine how she would feel. Imagine keep on having kids of your abuser. Wow, and then having to sleep with him, having to serve him. I don't even know for how many years she did it, but respect because it's so hard to live like this. And yeah, like I'm just so grateful for the people that told her, you know, there are better things. You just have to switch. You just have to do something for yourself. And yes, ahead is where the turning point lies. There's times where we sometimes feel like nothing's gonna change and we're depressed and we're suicidal or we just don't see a point of being alive anymore. And I think it's so important just to have good people surrounding you because geez, like when you have good people around you, your life changes. You think that everything is possible. Ah, yeah, yeah, definitely. But yeah, um, these were the stories of today, and I just hope that you guys had a good time listening to them. I hope that they bring you a little bit of hope and faith, and maybe some braveness, and maybe some encouragement to keep on going, even if you don't feel like it. There's always better at the corner. There's always something better ahead in the corner, like at the turnaround. There's always better, and I tell them, and I say it by experience. Sometimes we feel like the world is falling, but no, it's just process. You know, it's a journey. It's a little journey, and we need to only become stronger, even when it seems impossible. Um, the story reminded me a lot to First Corinthians 13:13. And now these three remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of this is love. Make sure you guys have people that love you, but love you unconditionally, not just on the surface. It will change your life. And also, get that love from God because sometimes finding love is hard, but finding God is easy. And He will always love us as however we can. Thank you so much for listening. I just wanted to tell you guys next week, more than likely, it's not gonna be a podcast. I will verify and post it on Instagram on probably Tuesday. But yeah, I'll be camping, so more than likely I'm not gonna have any signal. But thank you so much for everything. I'm gonna send your stories, please, and follow us on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram, and thank you for everything. I really appreciate your time. Thank you. Bye. Blessings.